On November 15, 2011, English businessman Neil Heywood was found dead in a hotel room in Chongqing, a megacity in southwestern China.
The Chinese police said it was alcohol poisoning and quickly cremated his body with no autopsy.
But something didn't add up. People who knew Heywood insist he wasn't a heavy drinker. In truth, Heywood was poisoned with cyanide. The culprit, none other than the wife of a once powerful and ambitious politician, Xilai. It was the beginning of the end of a man once believed to be a contender for top leadership in China. It also gave a rare glimpse into the rather impenetrable world of the Chinese political elite, one that is seemingly rife with rivalry, intrigue, and corruption. Reports estimated the Bo family's overseas wealth at between $136 to $160 million, staggering amounts in a country where politicians are paid modestly. This is the big steal. Before his fall from grace, Xilai was at the height of his power in China's political establishment, considered a rival to no less than Xi Jinping, the current president of China. But before we dive into the story, here's a crash course on the hidden dynamics of power within the Communist Party of China. According to veteran China watcher Chen Li, two main factions exist within the CCP. The first is the princelings, those who were born to China's original revolutionary leaders and are more preoccupied with economic growth. The other coalition consists of leaders from the Communist Youth League and are more focused on social cohesion and equality. These two groups battle each other for power and influence. Xilai was a princeling. His father, Bo, was a war hero who fought alongside Chairman Mao Zedong in the Chinese Civil War. But Bo became a target of purchase during the tumultuous Cultural Revolution in 1966. After Mao's death in 1979, Deng Xiaoping gradually emerged as the de facto leader of China, embracing market reforms and liberalization. Bo was rehabilitated and became vice premier in 1979. He would remain influential even after his retirement, using that influence to boost the career of his son. Bo began his career as a local government and Communist Party official. After steadily rising through the ranks, he became acting mayor of Dalian City in 1993. Bo was often described as flashy, outspoken, and aggressive with self-promotion. In a 2004 article, the South China Morning Post fawned about his presence and social savvy, recounting a fancy dinner with Bo at Dalian Port. But Bo also developed a reputation for being ruthless and vengeful. He is said to have censured, punished, and even imprisoned perceived enemies, which include journalists, lawyers, and businessmen during his career. He is described as a boss from hell, short-tempered, verbally abusive, and even violent to his underlings. Although Bo was lauded by some for his style of administration, he also made powerful enemies within the party, particularly from the rival faction of the princelings. The liberal reformists rejected Bo's preference for expanding the powers of the state, believing it will lead back to China's Maoist past. This constant wrangling between competing coalitions was a key impediment to Bo's repeated attempts at top leadership. He made it as far as the 25-member Politburo, but fell short of his ultimate objective, a seat at the 9-member Politburo Standing Committee, the pinnacle of Chinese political power. Then, in 2007, Bo was appointed party secretary in Chongqing. It was not the promotion he had hoped for. In leaked US diplomatic cables, the transfer was described as a maneuver by his rivals to push him out of Beijing and far from the seat of power. At his new post, Bo pioneered a new style of governance dubbed the Chongqing model, actively courting foreign investment and launching massive public works programs, including subsidized housing for the poor.
A red song competition, one of many organised here in Chongqing, where Communist Party chief Xilai is trying to revive revolutionary ideals in a big propaganda drive.
On the social front, Bo reignited Mao-era socialist nostalgia and unleashed a sweeping and brutal campaign against organized crime. The latter involved a major electronic surveillance operation headed by Wang Lijun, Chongqing's police chief and a trusted deputy who had a reputation for being a tapping freak. But the spying did not just target local criminals, but also the communications of top Chinese leaders, including those of then CCP General Secretary Hu Jintao. This was seen as a direct challenge to central authorities and invited intense scrutiny from China's top anti-corruption body. But the proverbial last straw was an old-fashioned murder.
Neil Haywood was found dead in a hotel in the Chinese city of Chongqing last year.
Neil Haywood, the British consultant, had been a longtime friend of the Bo family. He was rumored to help the couple move large sums of money abroad. Reports estimated the Bo family's overseas wealth at between $136 to $160 million, staggering amounts in a country where politicians are paid modestly. Their fortune was allegedly built partly on seeking bribes in exchange for government appointments and business permits in Bo's fiefdoms. Bo's wife, Gu Kailai, reportedly had a dispute with Haywood over money, and the Brit threatened to expose her dealings. So, Gu poisoned him with cyanide.
Prosecutors said that she and her assistant, Zhang Xiaojun, met Haywood at a local hotel, got him drunk, then poisoned him last November.
Which brings us back to Security Chief Wang Lijun. Although information is scarce, sources suggest that Wang's resentment against Bo grew as he was seemingly hung out to dry in the investigation over the wiretapping of senior leaders. Wang then confronted Bo with evidence implicating his wife in Haywood's murder. Outraged, Bo slapped the police chief across the face. Wang was quickly removed from the police force, but he still had an ace up his sleeve. On February 6, 2012, Wang evaded his guards and fled to the American consulate in Chengdu, revealing sordid details about Haywood's death. The incident was a major scandal in China. When the allegations eventually became public, Bo was systematically removed from his government posts, then charged and convicted with bribery, abuse of power, and corruption.
It's believed Bo Xilai is now being held in this remote prison north of Beijing, accused of massive corruption.
The aftermath of these events continued to reverberate across the Chinese political landscape. Shortly after Bo's purge and upon taking office, President Xi, a princeling himself, vowed to crack down on corrupt high-level officials and local civil servants. The CCP seemed keen to show the public, who had grown accustomed to rampant corruption in China, that there were no sacred cows within the party. Critics, however, have compared the campaign to a political purge, the weapon of choice in a high-stakes, winner-take-all power struggle. Regardless, the Bo Xilai scandal opened the lid on the tightly guarded inner world of the Chinese ruling elite, even for a while. It demonstrates how internal struggles between competing coalitions and political doctrines can alter the course of China, one of the most powerful and influential countries in the world.